a few seconds here. I'm going to see if we're on Twitter now. Let's see.
I think we are.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we are live. Proof of Beauty podcast number 14, which is pretty gnarly that we're on episode 14 already. Time's flying. Happy to be back with you guys. Before the pod here, we were just chatting about our favorite video games, some of the games we played growing up. I wanted to kind of just turn back to that because it's kind of fun here and ask you guys what your favorite childhood game that comes to mind. First thing that comes to mind is
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
For me, it was the Addicting Games era. The Flash games. Like,
oh yeah.
My parents never bought me a console, so the only way you can get a game in was to.
Wait, when's your first console? Well, when was your
360?
They never bought you. You only ever bought your own console.
No. Well, they bought consoles, but when I was like younger, I never owned a Game Boy. I never owned a DS, so I never played any of those things. I think the first real console was the Wii, but then I only played Wii Sports on it. So it's like.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm really good at Wii Tennis, not real tennis, Wii Tennis, but like, yeah. So for me, it was like sneaking in games on Addicting, and there's a few I don't quite remember the name. They're fun memories.
But did your dad like buying electronics and like the new shit and stuff like that? No.
He likes doing that as a techie, but he never quite did that for the game space. So, so I never quite got the latest, coolest consoles until I was an adult and I had adult money to buy it myself.
Right. What about you, Ash?
I'd say actually my parents were somewhat unique in that aspect. Like they really liked the idea of games. Like obviously they knew games were expensive and wouldn't buy whatever the fuck I wanted, but like they liked the idea of like getting the new console and stuff like that. It's just like a stress reliever when we would travel. So actually I can walk through the timeline because it's interesting. I got the PS2 when I was 4 because I remember the years my PlayStation released, dude. But so I got the PS2 when I was 4. We got the Mummy Returns bundle, the movie and the game, which is hilarious.
Oh, nice.
I was like 4 years old. And that was actually a cool game, actually, believe it or not. So I played the fuck out of the PS2. We got a Game Boy, and then that was like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that time. But
right.
I never really got games. I didn't even have a memory card, so we'd have to replay it, right? And then we got memory cards, and getting games was a pain in the ass. So it was like the discount bin at like Best Buy and Circuit City and shit like that.
Oh man,
they don't have Circuit City in Canada. I don't know. What do they?
I don't know. I'm thinking like GameStop. What is it here? I'll let you know if it comes to mind. Living in the Arctic, we don't have any game stores, so
that's right. And but it was actually Blockbuster. We would rent games, so right through games in 3 days. And Kingdom Hearts was like up there. We rented that for my birthday, and Kingdom Hearts 2. I didn't even play the first one yet, and then that was a huge impact at that time. So like the Disney shit, and then the Final Fantasy, Square Enix style, and then I kind of became obsessed with that stuff at that time.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of funny to listen to, guys, because like my generation was like, I don't know, Nintendo 64 and then PlayStation, and then PlayStation 2 came out like way later for me, and then when it did, that was the best. That was great. PS3 though was, I'm like, did you guys get a PS3?
That was the next level. That was like that
was big time. Yeah, exactly. Like I remember the jump from PS2 to PS3 was like, okay, I'm never playing this thing ever again. PS3 is my life now.
Going back and watching the Mark Caney Sony breakdowns of architecture for each of the PlayStation is kind of like crazy, because the PS3 one was like the super breakthrough, the sound processor and a Blu-ray player.
Right.
That, actually, there was no Blu-ray players on the market at that time. So
that was so sick.
They launched like combo wombo, and like everyone just I got that. That was the reason my dad got it too. He was like, it's like, oh shit, Blu-ray player and game console. Yeah. And I remember the Spider-Man font on that. That's like such a crazy design choice if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
The Spider-Man PlayStation 3 font.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the UI is very interesting from a design perspective. The cross, do you remember that, the cross interface?
Yeah.
It
That thing was awesome.
like very unique, niche, and works well for the format. So
Right. I
yeah,
felt like that was the first time a console felt like a computer, because you could plug in like a USB drive and or put in a CD and download your tunes off of it or whatever, right?
blowing our minds. You can open up the browser and like type in like URLs. And like
Yes, exactly.
But
I feel like missing out here. I'm a 360 boy. Like,
yeah.
360 was sick too, though. Like, I mean, like I played the original Xbox, and when the 360 came out, that was also a massive jump forward, because they added basically a functional multiplayer, right? Which was very janky on the first Xbox. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things there, but yeah, that was cool too.
It shipped with a headset included, I believe.
Yeah, the little one-ear one.
Xbox. Okay, I didn't get a new. I got it refurbished. That's interesting. It's like I know about the whole Blu-ray thing for PS4, not PS3, because my dad works in the video video hardware space, and at the time, I don't know what it was. I was too young to know, but I just remember going to his office and there were just like 10 PS3s all around him, and all wired up to different displays and monitors. And he was like, and I remember asking him like, why? He's like, it's the only cheap Blu-ray player out there. So they were. I don't know why the company had so many PS3s, but there was a lot of PS3s, and for the longest time I thought it was just a Blu-ray player. I didn't know there was gaming on it until later. I was like, oh, it's a PlayStation. Duh, like you're supposed to play games on it. So
Blu-rays were really interesting too, because we were kind of living in Wild West territory before that with CDs, because you could rip shit, and like you could rip a blockbuster movie, no problem, But like as soon as this Blu-ray thing came out, we're like, oh fuck, this is like super proprietary, and like you can only play this shit, and it's blue, and it's like 1080p. And I remember we got 300. That was the first movie we got on Blu-ray. 300, Planet Earth. Yeah, those two, and mind blowing at the time.
I'm trying to remember what I got. I remember I got like the Iron Man movies and Avengers and Blu-ray. And that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. My dad only owned Avatar.
That would have been good too, though.
For the James Cameron Avatar, and I think it was actually for work for him more than it was for. He was like using it because he works on compression. He was trying to compress, I guess, or decompress. I don't know. It's beyond me. But my dad knows 2 movies frame by frame: Avatar and The Matrix. And I know that for us, because he's so strict about games. When I was younger, I knew that he had a lot of PS3s around, but we could never access them. And I think he pretty much created the propaganda that these were not actual game consoles.
Maybe he knew the dangers of games, because he probably had a lot of like arcade culture in China.
But he played the original Dooms a lot. So he definitely had his nerd phase.
Yeah, no doubt.
My parents saw like movies because they didn't really have the games and shit like that, like video games at least. So there was like, all right, more entertainment. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was so strict. So I was out of necessity. I was like almost like had to be a PC gamer because you had to sneak the game onto your computer, and I've done my share of slightly not legal ways of acquiring games because I couldn't pay for them. So at the time, what's up?
When you had a PC?
Yeah. So when I was on Windows, and I remember at the time one of the only games I can get free was StarCraft, and so played the hell out of it. And now it's my big games because I was the only game I could acquire at the time.
Did you play like Neopets and shit like that, like RuneScape?
I played a little bit of RuneScape, but I don't like that kind of game. So
no Club Penguin.
I played Club Penguin.
Everyone played that. Yeah. Do either of you guys recall like anything about PS3s? Like some university took like a whole bunch of PS3s and like started using them for processing power or something like that.
Yeah,
because they had it open as an architecture, right, or something like that, and then they closed it later, or that's what I understand.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I just remember it being very novel and like basically the most powerful for the price computer you could possibly get, which is like I guess that's the repeated thing about the entertainment and gaming industry. There's like they're always on the cutting edge and the most efficient. Like,
Well, they're selling probably the consoles at a loss, right? Like, or at near break even to
Xbox
get
for
you to
sure.
buy games, right?
Exactly,
Like,
but it's a big bet, right? To do stuff like that and like to go back and like learn about the history, like how competitive that shit was. Like, it's pretty insane. Like,
yeah.
It's even today. I bet you like we're probably not aware of all the cost saving measures because they're selling at a loss. Like, wasn't there even a issue during COVID where PS5 manufacturers were using like 3 different cooling units or something like that? So people were buying different PS5s, opening them up,
Because
and
some
then
more
finding
better,
yeah, exactly. And so like
I think it's a unique
pretty
problem.
wild.
Like, it had pretty good quality like pipeline. I feel like I think that's a unique problem to COVID and like the lack of silicon on the market, probably because of mining and shit.
Perhaps, yeah.
But I mean, they also get the volume, right? If you're like, okay, I'm about to bake this many Xboxes, right? You can probably do a pretty nice batch of ASICs out there, and know that they will have a use. Where like, if you were to order them as like a consumer product, it's like you got to sell them, you got to move the inventory, right? I think here it's just like, oh, it's just compartmentalized into a consumer product.
Yeah, I mean, it is also an interesting concept to have a ecosystem of highly tailored apps for an architecture that's like constantly improving too. So the developers are essentially discovering capabilities of the machine, and then they, give feedback back to Sony, and they sometimes buy out these studios to continue their R&D. It's like so many admirable things about the gaming industry. I think that's like very we should try to emulate pretty much if possible.
There's some things that we don't want to emulate. Cough, Activision and some of their stuff, both internally and externally as a business.
They don't need to make such long-term plays, essentially, right? And big bets on something going to work. Every game is a big bet, right?
I like to think that, to an argument, I feel like the game industry figured out the kingdoms play to IPs before before I think the movie industry figured out, like, oh crap, like when you have like all these like separate studios that they're all within your kingdom that you can division resources into and out of. I feel like there's so many studios that are like almost just purely support studios that they buy, like they're pretty much acqui-hires, where like okay, you are here to just do asset production for the next Assassin's Creed, and then whatever Ubisoft team that's doing it would be primarily focused on the production of the actual game, and these guys are offloaded that, right? So there's like a lot of just like, because it's just such an interesting production process to produce a game, I feel like they had to really figure out a lot of the challenges of how do you create these serfdoms, if you will, with like Microsoft, Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard is one of the big ones, but then now they're bought by Microsoft. So, yeah, and I think that like I see like rhymes with Disney, and how they like bought 20th Century and stuff like that. But I think it's just interesting. I've been it's quite a monopoly. The big game industry, the AAAs, like EA, right? With
well, it's like the way I see it, it's more like it's almost like the NFL, like where the studios are like they're creating a team when the studios form and they're trying to pitch drafted essentially by Sony, right, for an IP, and maybe that requires creating their own indie title along the way, like Scrappy, or possibly even if they can get secure investment, go for some like for a home run or something like that. I think it's interesting to me because it's almost riskier to the movie business in that aspect where it's more monopolized, more consolidated. Very few people are able to actually get their hands on the money. But
yeah, I mean, like the whole industry just feels like it's like everybody's like 2 degrees away from each other, like connections wise.
Yeah.
Like I've like read, like I know about, like, especially because of the issues that Blizzard has been facing due to like bad games, internal strife due to bad culture. A lot of people left that company and started new studios. And then I looked at behind the two studios and the money, and I'm like, wait, it just was the founders of Blizzard. It's like such a mishmash, right? And then like Titanfalls, like Respawn Entertainment, I think. Those guys came out of Infinity Ward for Call of Duty, right? Spun out a studio that created Titanfall that now I think is bought by EA. So a lot of these studios, it just literally feels like, okay, like few people have the creative vision difference, have the balls enough to rift it out, but then but the money is still the same. Like I don't think like you tapped into a new source of money unless you go to Tencent and you take their change.
I mean, I think it's fundamentally because of the hardware. That's why, right? The
market, hardware.
The market is mostly monopolized, like all the domino effect because of the hardware that people are playing on.
Well, why is that the case for these games? Because they all have PC available.
Well, that's
I don't think it is an afterthought anymore because PCs to me are a huge market.
It is a huge market. But why make consoles then at all?
I feel like
because
it's
they're
becoming
$300.
Right. PC's becoming less of an afterthought though, right? The people who have PCs can take advantage of them,
But I'm saying
owning a console.
No one is targeting a PC and then making ports for consoles. It's always the other way around, right?
Not anymore with Xbox's shift. I think
That's true.
Microsoft's shift. I think
Cloud
pretty
computing.
much with Game Pass, pretty much being a first-class citizen on both Windows and Xbox. I wouldn't say that's the case maybe for the PS side, but there was an era where you could only play Halo on the Xbox.
So Sony's
there was a dominant era where like consoles was the place for the IP.
So Sony's doubling down on the exclusivity, right? And people are still
buying. Yeah, that's always the reason why I would have gotten. That's why I got a PS4 was for God of War, right? Like it, there was no way else to play it, right? And and to be fair, I do feel like that direction has been like Nintendo does that as well, right? Like
they do.
That's kind of their business model is just you own the hardware, you build it up. Where only recently I wouldn't make an argument to say that Microsoft is shifting, but then it's like an ironic shift because it's like it's still their own software that is running that they're running games on top of. It's still Windows, right? So in some ways, like Ash is correct, like you can look at Apple, right? Like Apple Arcade and all that stuff. It's still on Apple Silicons, right? It's just the definition of console feels like it's getting loose and looser. But there still is like walled gardens, right? Like there's
a good example of that would be how if you own an Xbox, you kind of have to have your Xbox turned on somewhere in order to take advantage of some of their cloud computing platforms, right? So you can play your game anywhere, but the play anywhere is still contingent on you owning an Xbox in some cases. I don't know if it's still that way. That's how it was in beta anyways, but it gets looser. That's for sure.
How much is a PS4 right now? 500?
No, it's gotta be low because the PS5 is 500.
I think it. I mean, it might be 500 in Canada. I believe it's something like 630, and so
it's gotta be 700.
A PS4.
Is it really? Oh my god.
Well, I'm looking at Walmart. I don't know if this is correct.
A PS5 these like from the manufacturers 500.
No, it is 500.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's 500. Yeah. I want to confirm it's American dollars and not some other.
PS4 Pro is probably like discounted at this point. But like,
you would think. I mean,
you can have experiences due to the hardware, and I think really the only major thing with PS5 is just a fast SSD, and so that kind of
allows the assets to be loaded in and out, right?
Right.
Yeah, pretty fast. Which you can't really expect that on a server if you're doing like a cloud computing model for games. So at some point, like you want localized hardware to accelerate as much as you can, so you can just push that needle. And so you need someone to do that. So who's gonna do that, right?
Did you, Ash, get the PS4 and then get the PS4 Pro?
No, I actually skipped PS4 because I was during my college years, and I was like, fuck it. And then once I settled down a little bit, I got the Pro, and now it's time to get the 5 ready.
Right.
And the design just blew me away. I was, nice, pretty cool. I think the hardware design.
Did you, Dave, get the One X after the One? I'd be like the equivalent.
I didn't get the One. I just have an X.
Okay.
Or Series S, the smaller one.
That
I
thing's
did
cool.
own a PS4. I got the PS4 was the console for my college years. But I got an Xbox One. I was thinking about getting the PS5, but at the time of COVID, it was so hard to get one, and I was just not that interested in. Like I was like, I don't play that many games. Like I was actually getting it mostly for like Dolby Atmos Xbox, and I was like, okay, I'll just get it as like a set-top box almost more than it's like a gaming experience. And I was also waiting for Halo just because, you know, I wanted to play the Infinite. It looked good, and unfortunately, it wasn't good.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is coming out in October.
Yes. I'm very excited for that.
Pretty exciting.
Cool.
You will not see me for 3 months. I'm just kidding, but
podcast.
I'll be grinding on Damascus if the game's good. It is now my new Call of Duty tradition on only Infinity Ward Call of Duties. I don't do it on any other Call of Duties.
You like grind like all the weapon attachments and skins and everything, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
I the guy to do that, but you totally seem like it now.
No, 100%. Like I pretty much like because so there's like a game mode in Call of Duty, right? It's like a gun game or something where you just like swap random guns, and I would play my friends. I'd be like, oh, I hate this gun. I'm like, no problem. Like I've literally played every gun, every game. It's like every gun is just like I know all of the little trivialities of what makes that gun hard to use, and it's just like good lord, like you're like so one of the hardest things to do is use the right shield, which is like a melee weapon. Right. You have to get 3 kills without dying, and you have to do that 70 times to get the skins. Literally, it was just me sitting there at 1 a.m. grinding on the smallest map possible, just whacking people. and I was like, at that moment, I was just like, I was just like, why am I doing this? But I'm already like 99% done. I was just like, I gotta just grind this one through, and then. But.
Do you complete the games?
What do you mean? Like I don't play the campaign.
Okay, yeah.
So I just play multiplayer until exhaustion.
Trophy hunter? Are you trophy hunter?
No. I don't do achievement hunting or any of that stuff. Like for me, that's just like if there's an aesthetic like that's where I was interested in Halo because I was like, oh, I totally can grind getting the armors and get like cool looking Spartan dudes, and I thought that was gonna be fun, and that's why I got an Xbox for it. But then how they built their progression system just wasn't fun for me.
And the maps suck.
And the map sucks. So it's just like, well, and also I got so used to Call of Duty, like first-person shooter mechanics, where the time to kill is so much shorter. You got good aim downs. The gun diversity feels fun. The kind of gun porn is really tactile. Where like Halo Infinite felt like you had 3 guns to use
BR,
in the beginning.
The assault rifle and the Magnum.
Yeah, and it just doesn't. Yeah. And the guns don't feel oomphy, and just like for me, it's just I play games almost for the ASMR. Like I play StarCraft mostly because like I just turn my brain off, and I know all the sound effects, and it just to me it's just like rain on the window. It's for me that kind of relaxing experience. So. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Now that I'm talking about it so wax poetically, I feel like I'm literally going to play it a little bit later and open it up again.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a good game for me.
I don't know if we ever talked about it on this podcast, what the Minecraft, or I guess what Minecraft did with their community and closing it up and making it so that no Minecraft characters, IP of any sort can be used outside the Minecraft world, right? I'd be curious what you guys think about that and the long-term implications of Minecraft making such a play like that.
It's a bummer considering what that game started as, I think, as consumers, right? But it kind of made a lot of sense to me. Like, I think it's valuable as a IP. Like, kids buy Creeper backpacks, buy... Right. Like, they buy Creeper. I've seen way too many Creeper. What is it? Like, those, when I go on the planes, like the name's completely escaping me right now. Slippers? What does that contain? No. What is the container that you put your clothing in when you go on an airplane? Good lord, what is?
Luggage?
I cannot think of it. Luggage. Good lord, the name just completely escaped my head. There's like
That's
creeper
funny.
luggage, right?
Yeah.
And then the key thing to me is why it made a lot of sense was that when they released Minecraft Dungeons, which was a spin-off game from the core experience. It was like a dungeon crawler,
Okay.
but set in Minecraft, pretty much. It didn't even share the same engine. It was Unreal based. Whereas the other is not Unreal Engine. And so by every level, it was only Minecraft because it's blocks and it looked like Minecraft. So in my opinion, it was like, yeah, it was a long-term play for them. But then to an extent, I see that in the kids market that this is more maybe tuned to. Like there's Roblox.
So kids are still playing Minecraft and shit.
I do think it's marketed to them. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what they're doing right now. Like I'm not a kid anymore, and I don't have kids around me that to ask. But
Right.
I know. So
I know Roblox is big today.
yeah, Roblox is pretty big for that age group. I think Fortnite still has its place, maybe somewhere in that area, but I don't know. Like I never played Fortnite or cared about Fortnite, to be honest. So
doesn't Roblox have some NFT shit going on as well?
Probably.
I think they have some collectability experience. I don't know if it's actually NFTs, but I do know that they low-key kind of pioneered a lot of things that I think like all the land versus NFT projects, all the land NFTs want to do, Roblox did to an extent. So I don't know. Like that's where I've never been too bullish on the digital land stuff anymore because it's just like I learned about Roblox. It's just like, well, unless you have a money solution to outspend them, or a market that you can tap into that is more that is priced better than literally kids who can accidentally spend way too much money due to not knowing exactly what they're buying.
Right.
And then Roblox at least I understand, is a pretty exploitive business model. So at least for the kids at their age group. So unless NFTs are willing to to go into those domains, it's just like to me it's like like I don't think it works. And also Roblox, just like the amount of stuff you can do in that game is kind of beyond me. It's like
really
I've seen people. I know that as an F1 fan, I know that McLaren literally just like made their whole like headquarters in Roblox.
That's pretty cool.
So you can tour a official McLaren sponsored Roblox experience where you can see like a Roblox from one car, and then there's like Roblox Battle Royale. There's Roblox Stardew Valley. There's like so many Roblox derivative variants of their core experience, and it became like they sold an engine to kids, and then the engine became a platform for games, mini games that people created. And I think there's people who make money just doing that, which to me that was OG Minecraft servers, right? Like when people ran their own Minecraft servers, there was some that were like very fantasy driven, some were just like mini games, right? But I feel like that energy was kind of taken away from Minecraft. At least I don't feel that way the same way as Minecraft anymore, where it feels a lot more white labeled. I don't know. But I do think there's something to learn from how the contrast of these two entities and how they intend to make a valuable project, right?
Yeah. I'd be curious to see, like I came across a video at one point on YouTube that showed basically a model of using robotics to build real world objects, but it was based on like the way you build using Minecraft. So somebody who's a talented Minecraft player would wear their, full body virtual reality set, and they'd be in a real work environment controlling a robot that would actually build in a similar way you build on Minecraft. And so if that actually took off, couldn't you imagine like a whole bunch of like satellites and like little constellations in different places in space where we don't inhabit them, but you just got all these little kids just kicking ass on Minecraft, you know? Right? Building like the Pyramid of Giza on like the moon or something with these robots, you know, like
It's like a new rich kids. That's what the rich kids get.
right, yeah. The rich kids get their own comet with a robot on it and they can build whatever they want.
That's kind of wild, yeah.
So guys, did you guys want to like maybe talk about the upcoming merge a bit? It was a good chat so far, but probably should give the people what they want. Right? So I guess like you guys could spill the deeds. You guys know the deeds better than me on this by far.
Beans, David.
Take it away, Ash.
Oh, you just directed it to me. You can say your piece first, Ash.
So merge will be, we're gonna deploy, do all the shit this week pretty much. Merge will be starting Monday to August 29th to September 15th. So let's take a look at the price schedule just so we can get an idea and then compare it to the calendar.
Yeah, just to set some context, what he means by that is just the price is not like a PFP that's just set flat or a Dutch auction.
Yeah. The price is, so this is a unique aspect of the project. One, there's no max supply. So basically any supply pressure is, contained by ideally the price. But it's going to be starting from 0 and then ramping up very quickly towards the end of the merge.
Does it, if I remember correctly, it flattens a little bit at the end, right? There's like a, and then this.
Yeah, right? But that flattening part of the curve really happens.
Okay. No, I just was trying to.
The curve graphic we created is somewhat inaccurate, but for the most part. Yeah, so last day of the merge, day 18 of this whole process would be 0.4 ETH. That's essentially the target. But the rarity boost is also 80%, so you're getting something juicy out of it. It's not for nothing. This is also the rarity curve. It starts higher and increases faster because it's a little bit more compressed than the price curve. So there is like a juicy delta. It's like as the price starts rising, it's like you're getting a nice bump, and London gift holders get an additional 16%, which doubles your chance of the highest rarity.
Yeah, is that in addition to the 80% if you were to mint to the end? So you'd have a 96% chance.
That's right.
96 gets you pretty much near 5 times chance. 5 times better chance of getting some of the rarest NFT, rarest of this collection.
So the boost is just a boost, right? It's just a number that's scaled between 0 and 100 that provides a multiplier to our rarity system that already exists. And so just to give like the high level labels, it's gonna be starting from the most rare. It's ghost rare, ghost, secret, ultra rare, common. And I think those are pretty good labels.
Yeah, cool.
Tweeted out a nice pic of like Ghost, Secret, Ultra. Ghost is like 0.1% of the supply. Secret's like 0.4%. Ultra's 1%. So
so those are really rare. But we hope the rarity boost will kind of skew them to be a little bit not. There won't be 0.1.
Yeah,
at the very end, right? Because it's going to be inflated a little bit.
Yeah, much. We want people to see those versions of the art, right? So it's not like we want to hide it. So,
there's some funny stuff for some of the high rarity.
Definitely, like as soon as we launch it, everybody can kind of join in for the fun for like a solid week and a half, and which I think is important, right? It's gonna take us some time to like tell our friends and then mint some and fuck around. And it's essentially free because it's like 0.001 ETH, and that scales from that to 0.1 over 11 days. So you have a lot of time to do shit for free, for free-ish, for cheap.
Right.
Yeah, we kind of designed the rarity boost in a way that we hope that the price reflects the rarity boost that you're acquiring at that time.
It's
so
fair.
You're paying 0.4, you're getting 5 times of a better shot, 4 times a better shot than you would at 0.1, a little lower, right? Like, so we know that we designed a price curve to obviously not make the supply run to infinity, but also it's designed to reflect, I think, what you're getting at that price.
Should I just pull the curve up?
Yeah, I think that
show people what we're talking about here.
Gives people some context.
Yeah, you can reveal this thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So we got like a good, nice chunk of time to like mess around, big brain moment. Mint some stuff, cheap, get some cool art, see what you try to just mine like cool rarities and see what you get, right? And then
it's an exploratory phase.
And then once it crosses 0.1, then it's like, okay, now it's real. It's like merge is 7 days away. Guys go crazy, ape mode. So I think this makes sense, and I think people will enjoy the experience because it's like something to do every day, right? It's like as the rarity increases, it's like you can check in every day and like mint a couple or mint as many as you want, and just be like, all right, let's see what I get. It's like a lotto you get to pull for 18 days. So fuck around.
Yeah, and I think I'm literally going to count it right now. How many statues? So they're going to be statues if people haven't seen the preview. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'll pull one up in a sec here.
So there's going to be 15 statues split through all the rarities. There was originally going to be 14, but we're going to do Shiva, so it's going to be 15.
Cool.
So we're going to have 15 statues. Some are common, some are rare, some are they're split. We have 15 statues. All the statues have different varieties of each of themselves. So they can be holding different shields, and for this is Athena, you're going to be holding shields, different helmets, different leg poses, different armor. Sisyphus could be holding different rocks, different leg poses, again, different facial features. So they all have different subtlety varieties between all 15 core statues. And then I want to say there's about 15 to 20, no, not 15 to 20, about 15 materials that the statues could come as. So they can be bronze, they can be some crazier materials. We have one called Blackstone that's just like really charcoaly. We have some that we call, I think there's one that we have that's iridium. We have one that is literally just like safety yellow. It's just really high vis yellow. That's a really rare one. And then the background changes to kind of set the piece together. The pedestal changes as well. You can see them with different weapons. There's so many little nuances, and the crazy thing again, I think, is it's all on chain, right? So none of these things were pre-made or not pre-baked. The moment you hit that mint button in their mind, that's when the artwork is created. And yeah, so the rarity is going to be really interesting, right? So I think we're not going to tell anybody exactly what all the materials will be. I mean, if you go on the if you want to, you can try to dig through our contracts, but hopefully, just like Ash kind of said, we kind of want them to kind of feel it out, right? Explore and try to get to the 15 statues plus the actor. So it's 15 statues, but then we have another class called ruined statues. So it's like we take the original statue and we kind of like lop off an arm and kind of make it feel like it's been through history. So there's actually like there's a lot of statues. I'm going to say that much. There's a lot of combinations. The background, I think, is one of the few projects that actually uses the background to kind of create the piece. And we have different materials. So, and they pull from different cultures. And then we have a few meme statues that are just going to be fun. I will say that we managed to squeeze in Vitalik Buterin in as a statue. So
that is dope. That is so dope.
So
it'll be fun. Hopefully we can get the word out and people have fun with it and do shit. So
chance of getting a ghost is going to be slim, but it's going to be cool to see what comes out of that ghost secret. They all seem pretty rare, these rare ones, actually.
Yeah.
We really designed it.
The base rarity, right? It's like with the big supply, it always gives you a rebalanced chance, much better chance. And that's the thing. Is as the day of the merge is going to be the juiciest opportunity, and it's also the most fun, right? Because you're like right before a major event. So
cool.
Yeah. So like a ultra statue could be example. If I remember correctly, it could be like a gold it could be a gold material like Anubis, for example.
Mhm.
So we designed it such that while our rarity distribution is incredibly like I guess aggressive,
Mhm.
when you see the rare ones, you'll know they're rare. Like there's no question about you won't doubt that, right? Like,
They look rare.
and so we pretty much wanted the curve to make the rare ones more common. But then if that's the case, let's pretend that we made
Mhm.
ghost rares 1% base. At 80%, it would be 4% chance they would occur.
Hmm.
That's a pretty big difference. It doesn't make
Yeah.
ghost. It doesn't feel like it's a ghost rare anymore. It doesn't feel rare anymore. So we
Right.
had to kind of be a little bit aggressive, but then I think hopefully people will enjoy that this is the way to play it. But then we didn't make the pricing, I think, in such a way that it's meant to make getting ghosts
Pretty like there's an entry point for anyone, right? Like if you
Mhm.
want if you're a big collector and you just want to scoop like a juicy ones towards the end, like the price is more than sufficient for you to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be even surprised if like I mean I'll be bummed a little bit if some of the interesting uh combinations never occurred or
Mhm.
was mined. Because there's some that I know that looks really interesting, but it's kind of out of my power to dictate how they're generated.
Right.
Some of them really look stunning and with the right material, but then they're like, crap, this is a ghost rare. It's like,
Mhm.
uh, so right. So I think what we're kind of thinking about is right. If say the collection's 5,000 in size, we should be expecting 5 to 20 ghosts, if dependent, obviously, to
Okay.
when you mint on the curve. But but like base level, there should be at a minimum expected value 5, right? So
Okay.
the rarity boost will obviously make that number go a little higher. How much higher, we don't know, right? Because if 90% of the mints occur on the last day, then that number will be a
Mhm.
lot higher than if only 5% of the minting happened on the
It's
last
like
day,
completely
right?
unknown of what's gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah, fuck
Hmm.
it, whatever.
Yeah, so there's gonna be just this whole dynamic of the game that must be played, where
Right.
the rarity doesn't settle until the last day. Like actually how rare is a ghost? Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not quite figured out, but we kind of designed it in that even in the worst case scenario, hopefully the ghosts are still feeling like ghosts, right? Like the worst
Right.
case is to overinflate one of the particular high rarities. So that's why we were so aggressive about saying 0.1, 0.4, 1%, right? Like if we didn't have a rarity boost, those numbers probably were a little higher. But with the rarity boost, we had to be very conservative.
Right. Right.
But I think that makes it fun.
Right.
Hitting the mint button and seeing them rendered right in front of you, and it works on OpenSea. For me, it's kind of wild. It works on OpenSea. It's actually fast too. Like it renders
Mhm.
really fast. And
That's
so
cool.
there's no latency because I know that IPFS metadata on OpenSea does have some latency sometimes, where like you have to wait a bit. I think on OpenSea it's
Mhm.
pretty blazing
Mhm.
fast
This is,
because
I'm surprised how fast things are rendering. It's like no problem, pretty quick.
yeah, which
Yeah.
for folks it's 128 pixels size with at a maximum 13 layers of images being put
Yeah.
together.
That's pretty
But
impressive.
hopefully, we get some
Yeah.
attention from Alchemy just clogging up all their
Hmm.
calls.
We'll give Alchemy a call. I'm certain that I think we are pushing them and to their
So
Yeah.
I'm curious if you guys, like on the development front, feel like this is like a satisfactory test of the brainfuck rendering system. Like, do you guys feel like maybe you could have pushed the envelope a little bit more, or do you feel like satisfied with the work?
I was pretty much actually scared most of it because I thought we pushed it too much
Yeah.
for the first time.
Okay.
128. I was already debating with the artist, so it was just like,
Right.
can you do it in 64, 128? Yes, we can do it, but that's getting to scary levels for me at the time. That was the conversation. I remember we even
Mhm.
briefly contemplated 256. But it was like, mate, like we don't even have time to make art at that
I
size.
know. Yeah.
So 128 was a compromise. I was designing for 6 layers, but somehow we conflated it to 13.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that got me scared. And then we have so if you were to like talk about the tree of renderers, there's like literally 5 layers of renderers going through. Where like you got
Okay,
you got
wow.
a layer one that goes to a data one that goes to a saved colored version, and then that goes to the GIF version. Like there's the tree is like 13 wide, and
Yeah.
it goes down 5. So it's a incredibly complex configuration of the renderer system. So if anything, I think we've kind of proven that one, it's fast to render.
Right.
We're not seeing a bottleneck there. 2 is this kind of composability can happen, and 3,
Mm-hmm.
we could pull off 128. Right? If we can pull off 128, like I be honest, is to me that's already a lot. I really don't think we need that much more.
Right.
And I think the focus now is not on the renderers anymore. It's going to be about how do you want to use your renderers to do interesting story building, game mechanics, IPs. Right, the renderer part seems like it's proven what it's need to do. Unless we need a
Right.
huge stepwise upward movement to do crazier and crazier stuff, I think what this current present technology, I think Merge is going to establish is like, okay, we can use this to do a lot more things before we need to start thinking better renderers again.
People,
Oh.
arrive to the same conclusion of composability. So this is a very
Mhm.
proof, like real world proof, more so than what other people are doing of that composability.
Mhm.
Hopefully that.
And is that,
Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, I was thinking like, is that obvious to other developers? Like, will they be able to look at it and figure out the inherent characteristics and be like, damn, this was a good real world case of that composability?
It is an instant mint, so like no sellout.
I
You can
will,
only parody
I
on
will
chip.
say that none of the renderers are proprietary.
Right.
We will need to do a good job of communicating what's actually going on, right? Because renderers is a novel concept to an extent.
Mhm.
At least how we prescribe the name renderers. I think once you explain it to a developer, they're like, "Oh, I get it, what it is," but they don't know what it is yet. Which is kind of where we built Merge for, right? But nothing's proprietary, which is to the standards of what renderers are meant to be, public good systems. And to an extent, to me, this project is not necessarily meant to educate them, more so just tell them like
It works.
it works. I think a lot of the
Right.
other concepts right now are very conceptual. The theories, the philosophy almost are word for word the same philosophy we took forward with building the renderer system. But we have the advantage that, one, we have a platform to allow you to explore renderers on your own, ABF.
Mhm.
And then we have massive demonstrator experiences to tell you that if you want to invest down this lane, you're not missing out on utility, on features, right? Like
Right.
Merge is going to prove to them that, hey, like you can do what you want to do. You don't have to doubt if this technology can realize the creativity you intend to realize. You just have to figure out how to use it in the way that can be used. So I think that's going to be, it's still a lot of work on our side to sell that story, but I do think we have all the contingent components sitting around us more than any other, I think, competitor to the renderer ideology. I think a lot of things are proof of concepts or just theoretical kind of idea bashing with like a proof of concept GitHub repo out there.
Yeah.
But for us, we have a building product, we have a demonstrator experience. We've been thinking about this for a very long time. So yeah, I mean, not to say that the other ideas are not good. It's like I do think there's some good ideas there that we may be pulling into our architecture a little bit as we're still in alpha for ABF, but they're not going to be massive deviations to how we consider it. But there's like subtlety ideas that I liked from like ERC 721K, for example, that can make renderers easier to use, as in how it makes it easier for you to figure out how do you want to compose your renderers. So more DevXy things that I think we can learn from them.
Right.
But I like to think maybe we don't have the best, like, perfect solution in an utopic world to the problem, but damn well we do have the one that works the most. And usually
Right.
works the most tends to be the most useful solution, right? So
Right.
yeah. So pros and cons, I think we just have advantage of speed right now, and actual usability. I think that's where the studio stands out, right? Is we can
Yeah.
dream it up, we make it happen, and prove to the world that what we dreamed is good stuff, solid stuff, right? Or if they're not solid, we'll iterate.
Right.
So yeah,
I know we talked about it a bit last week about like what kind of people or projects or artists may want to use this product. Have we gotten any, any signaling from anybody as of yet on people who are interested in maybe seeing what the render system can do for them?
well, we were so busy with merge. I don't think we're going to be doing that, and to an extent, I don't personally have an interest in engaging teams in a as if I was like Zero-X Protocol, where I'm like trying to sell you a technology to use. I think we're gonna make ABF just the best home, and then we're gonna take on like a very hyperstructure organic approach to it, as in like we'll continue to prove that this technology is the best thing out there, and then we give you a pretty much no permission asked project building experience to learn how the renderers work, right?
Keep doing what we do best, which is like try to make novel and weird niche ideas that demonstrate the tech stack, or that the idea requires the usage of novel tech, right? And in that way, hopefully show more and more people and also, and more importantly, also can convert them into that kind of mindset. I mean, it'd be great to see more people doing stuff in the way that we want, like, are doing stuff, So.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's like a lot of that, right? I think that we've had technological paradigms. Like I think the hash v3 architecture is something that is pretty cool at the time, but we didn't really quite want to evangelize it publicly because it wasn't something that we felt like was the end-all be-all solution path to a lot of utility and expressiveness, and also too is just again not towards our interest. But then this time, out of some sequencing, ABF existed, and then it was just like, well, crap, we actually do have an evangelizing vehicle to shape a brand around renderers and sell it as an ideology, as a mind share. And I think we're also in a place as a studio to realize there's a lot of value to being part of that mind share spearhead, where when people think of renderers, they would hopefully think of the merge or future projects in Proof of Beauty Studios, right? And that helps us as a brand, right? And so I think we're really keen on it, and I think we're in a place that just a lot of the things are just kind of within the orbit, and we just have to kind of nudge it a little harder in the right direction, spend some good time shaping it, branding it correctly, and I wouldn't be surprised if we can start really seeing a good, healthy, just growth flywheel, right? And I think that's also something that venture-backed businesses relative to us have a subtlety of difference, is they have the money, sure, to pretty much blow into mindshare. But then if it doesn't work for them, or they need to have a longer like time span to get that roadmap, to get that mindshare to grow and people to see that application, then I do think like the incentives design isn't well structured to help VCs propagate a non-hockey puck styled ideology. And I think that the renderer system, because we are in a bear market, I think it needs to kind of continue to bake until the day where the cusp of a bull market flicks it into the hockey puck. And so to that, it's hard to predict exactly when that day comes. It could be self-created if we created a new major IP that demonstrates all the powers of renderers again. Maybe that sets the hockey puck off, right? But then I can't predict that
Mhm,
day,
mhm.
right? I can't tell you when we're going to finish another IP after this one.
Right.
Yeah. So I think how we hopefully will approach it to me is also we're very resemblant to how to bring it back to our early conversation, like early Minecraft, early Warcraft, where it was about the
Mhm,
community. It was about custom games. It was about custom maps. It was about people teaching almost the developers how renderers can be exploited.
mhm,
And I think that to me is where my end goal. I would love to have ABF become that just vibrant place to just have conversation about
Yeah.
this technology stack,
mhm,
right? Um,
Ideally, it's like the coolest thing would be to make like the Quakes and the Dooms and stuff like that of the NFT. It's
mhm,
like
mhm,
progression, but still a display of a novel artistic idea.
mhm.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's gonna be a lot of like I guess like I guess more like by the books styled products that can be produced with renderers that I can totally see become business verticals, right?
Yeah.
Or ABF builds a tool for that, or somebody else creates a venture just to do that, or creates a venture studio that builds it for clients, right? I can see that a
Nice.
lot of
Yeah.
those things propagate, but to me, to have those propagate, you need to get people to make renderers their thing as well. It has to be owned by the plural, then not just the studio, right? It shouldn't just be a top down where like we tell you what renderers are. No, they should tell us more. I think in the end game, and we've been told.
Right.
I think there's been a lot of renderers that I didn't think were why we would create renderers, but there were some really fun ones that Jack created, and I think that is only but a start of how people can interpret this technology stack, both at a very trivial way, but also at a very what do you call it, venture way as well, um, business way. Uh, but where we kind of sit right in the middle, right? We're interested in performing art with our technology. So
Right. So I guess, guys, getting back to the merge mint starts August 29th, right? Is there a particular time or block? Do we know
no,
when exactly?
Monday when you go to your computer, it will be waiting for you.
Oh yeah.
yeah, well, I'm not gonna promise a day unless in case of emergencies.
Yeah,
Right.
In case emergency break glass kind of a moment. So
Mhm. Mhm.
um I would be if everything goes well, it should just be in the morning, like
Mhm.
or early afternoon. But um,
So basically starting next week,
yeah,
beginning of the week.
yeah.
actually, you pretty much have to deploy on Sunday. If I mean, really. If
But
possible.
don't say because we need the gas price to work for us. We need people not to be using the
True.
blockchain.
Sundays are pretty quiet lately, though, guys.
Yeah.
It is actually shocking how quiet.
Yeah, I've been
2 or
pretty
3
much
guan.
calculating our economics based on single digit gas prices.
Yeah.
So
What a change.
Yeah.
Checking gas right now, actually.
yeah, this
See.
is like I was thinking about. It's like if we had to pay 100 G-weight gas.
Yeah. I mean,
storing what we have to store
yeah.
will cost us an arm and a leg. Like, but at our current gas prices, we're doing this at pennies to the dollar.
Right.
But
It's 24 G-Way right now, which is like,
we're targeting lower. I think the weekends get
Oh,
us
yeah.
down. That's what we're hoping for.
Wasn't there like a massive sell-off this morning across all industries?
Classic.
Like non-crypto industries.
Yeah, and crypto, probably crypto as well, if it's
Right.
across all industries. But could explain why gas is up a little bit.
Yeah, I imagine. Don't follow the markets enough that are not crypto to know beyond just geopolitical events that may impact it. But
Maybe it's UFOs. Maybe people see more of them out there and getting worried. I don't know. I always think about it. What would happen? No, seriously.
What would happen?
If we all came to the conclusion that they're watching us, like, will we change? Will we do anything different? Will we reconsider our choices of what we're doing?
I don't know.
I'm too jaded to think that.
I mean, it's like a big conversation for me. I start thinking about the vastness of space and like the efficiency of sending AI systems out instead of humans, and how they're, or whatever they are, very likely be an AI system.
But
Just given you have to lie.
off to like the simplest thing, you know, just more people becoming aware of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like people are still denying it. It's just a meme at this point. So it's gonna go through its meme phase and then transition to real fact. We'll see what happens.
Don't like statistically, like most people believe in UFOs, believe in extraterrestrial life.
They believe in aliens,
it?
but they don't believe in the fact that they're watching us right now, right there, literally right there, right.
You're like, they're right out my window, bro.
Well, I think
I mean,
maybe
yeah,
depends on country. I feel like America
probably does.
Here, dude, they're only interested in America, honestly.
Right.
Virginia specifically. They're watching
Apparently.
CIA.
Yeah. So oddly,
funny.
the aliens always want to beat up the United States in every movie. So
Apparently. Yeah. Well, guys, should we wrap it up here, unless there's anything else we want to add about the merge? Any other final details?
No. Good.
You guys can keep an eye on our Twitter. I mean, we're going to have stuff coming out probably throughout the week. Just drop this here. You can follow us at Proof Beauty, PRRF Beauty. You know, join the conversation on Discord, guys. We always appreciate people tuning in, popping in, seeing what's up, what we're building. Discord.gg/POB. Let us know if the link doesn't work. Sure, appreciate everybody who tuned in today on YouTube and on Twitter. It was cool to get that Twitter integration up, guys. That's sick. But until next week, guys, thank you for watching.
yeah.
Bye-bye.